With the floodwaters along the Murray River now starting to peak in a lot of the towns, it was time to go and have another look for ourselves. The first town that we came to was Walker Flat, and it was here that we found a lot of road closures. From Walker Flat we made our way to Mannum, and we're now travelling on the Adelaide side of the river. From Mannum it was on to Murray Bridge, and this was the first time we'd had a look at the waters here at Murray Bridge. Now travelling on the Melbourne-Sydney side of the river, we make our way to Teal Flat. After Teal Flat we go on to Bow Hill and check out the flooding around that area. And then it's on to Walker Flat, where we check out the flooding there from the opposite side of the river that we came down on. From there we move on to Greenways Landing. Our next stop is Swan Reach, and here we fly the drone along the street that takes you down to the ferry. From Swan Reach it's on to Blanchetown, where we view the devastating effects of the water in one of the caravan parks there. The next video in this series will be part 8, which will show the flooding of the Murray mouth when the water finally peaks in that area there. I'm Mick, and this is Sally. Together we've been caravanning Australia since the 1980s, and more recently we started to put the videos together just to show you some of what we see out there. There's a lot to see in Australia, and we hope you enjoy what we have here to show you. You can follow us on our trips via the following social media platforms. If you like the following video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Walker Flat was the first town that we reached as we came to the Murray River, and it was here that we found a lot of road closures. And because the waters are so high with their peak now, obviously a lot of roads have been closed off, so should you come across these road closures, please obey the signs. A lot of them are open to local residents. Of course they've got to get down to their shacks and whatever they need to do in the area to look after their own property, but certainly a lot of water around now. It's taken many weeks for the water to peak in the Murray River, and no doubt it's probably going to take as long for the water to go back down to the normal pool level. And once it does start to drop, then the people of the area can start the heartbreaking task of cleaning up their property. From Walker Flat we started to head towards Mannum, and it was this road here that was closed, being another road closure, and of course we had to turn around and go back. We didn't try and go through the road because you just don't know where the water is on the road, and obviously it's closed for a reason. Now in Mannum, and there are a lot of the riverfront areas, if not all the riverfront areas of the town of Mannum, that you can no longer get down to. Now looking at the levee bank system that they've put up in the main street of Mannum, and that's to stop the water from entering any buildings up into the main street should the water get that high. And unfortunately those on the riverside of that levee bank system have suffered with water entering into their buildings. The levee bank running down the centre of the Marianne Reserve appears as though it's holding the water back as it was designed to, and the Murray Princess here birthed in the river. Due to the current high water level in the Murray River, all the ferries that would normally operate between Murray Bridge and Blanchetown are now closed, and it makes a very, very long way to go from one side of the river to the other, because if you're in any of the towns along here, you need to travel to Murray Bridge or Blanchetown if you want to change sides on the river. Directly across the river from Mannum is this row of shacks here, and that first white building that's there at the bottom of the screen now, that's the toilet block to a campground that's on the southern end of those shacks, and we've spent many a night here. It's quite a nice campground. Whilst in Mannum, we went out and had a look at Mannum Waters, and here they've got the houseboat marina, and you would not think that there was land there at all that would allow you to go out and enter onto those houseboats. This was our first time that we were visiting Murray Bridge during this flood event, and there was certainly a lot of water around the area, and very pretty to photograph. This part of the river here must look very different when it's running at its normal pool level and not flooded as it is now, so as the water recedes back in a number of months' time, we might try and get down there and do a bit of filming at normal pool level and do a comparison to what it looks like now. We stayed overnight in Murray Bridge, and it was bright and early the following morning that we went down to Sturt Reserve just to have a look at where the water was there. The levee bank that's been put around this building is certainly doing its job. There's a little bit of water seepage coming through from somewhere, but certainly keeping the building dry. From Murray Bridge we took the short drive out to the Swanport Bridge area and had a look at the flooding that was in that area around there. As we look at the water here, the water that appears to be a brown colour, that's the main river channel, and to the right of that, the blue colour water, that's all floodplain. Now looking upstream in the river back towards Murray Bridge. As we now head north along the Murray River on the Sydney Melbourne side of the river, they've left the road open that allows you to go to the lookout to overlook Teal Flat here. And it was quite good that they do that, so the road is open to get to the lookout, but once you reach the lookout they've closed the road and you can go no further. Most of the shacks here at Teal Flat are elevated buildings, so they're not directly impacted by floodwaters inside the building themselves, so that's very good. But of course The sheds and so on that are here, obviously they're going to be filled with water. Some sections of the Murray River, with it being flooded like it is at the moment, are very picturesque to look at, and this area here south of Bow Hill, between Bow Hill and Teal Flat, is no exception to that rule. Now just about to approach Bow Hill, and you can see the Bow Hill shacks here, and if you have a look at the bottom of the buildings, it's just sitting above the current water line. Unfortunately, as seen here, not all shacks have been built high enough to avoid flooding. The grey building seen there to the left is the Bow Hill General Store, and when it was built, it's been built up high enough that it won't be flooded by this flood event, but there have been restrictions within the area of Bow Hill regarding people accesses to some of the locations. There is a boat ramp alongside the general store, but with the high water, of course, that's all now submerged. Due to the current flooding of the river, when you get to a lot of these towns, as we are here at Purnong, and that's on the other side of the river, the Sydney side of the river, the road going into the ferry is closed due to the flooding, and you can only view these areas from the scenic lookouts along the road. The one advantage at looking at the Murray at the moment with a drone, it puts everything in perspective regarding the flooding of the area. Most of the current media reports are all concentrating on when the river will peak with its flow, and that's happening now, and there's been no mention yet as to how long it will take for the water to recede so people can start to gain entry back into their shacks and property. There is a scenic lookout that overlooks Walker Flat on the Melbourne-Sydney side of the river, and that's where we were at the moment, and we put the drone up for another look at the town of Walker Flat. Coming into view there at the right hand turn on the road is the Ferry landing on the Walker Flat side of the river, and just to the right going out of sight now is the ferry. The river here at Wongulla looks very, very wide with all the floodplains full of water, and it'll be very interesting to have a look at this area once the water goes back to pool level and all these floodplains are empty. Somewhere below all this water there must be a road that takes you to the entry point of these shacks. The town of Nildottie should never be flooded by the high water level of the Murray River. Greenways Landing was just to the north of Nildottie, and it was very, very wide here on the water with the Murray River flooded well and truly, but unfortunately there were low-lying shacks and they were inundated with water. No doubt when the river is running at its normal pool level, any shacks along the river would be a bit of a paradise to enjoy, but unfortunately it must always be in the back of your mind that eventually one day there will be a high water level and all this heartache and sorrow is going to be created. Whilst in Swan Reach on this trip, we did find a 1956 flood level indicator, and going by that indicator, the water's got a long way to come up here before it does reach that level, but when you look at other towns it seems as though it's not very far and it may reach that, but here we're going along the entry road that goes down to the ferry in Swan Reach, and as the drone flies down, it's your normal path that you would take in a motor vehicle to go onto the ferry. Got the entry building there to the left of the caravan park that's all but fully submerged, and as we go down here the drone speed may vary a little bit, and that's because I'm trying to avoid hitting power lines and whatever else might be out there that's going to drop me in the drink and then I've lost the drone, so you've got to bear with me on that one. To be a shack owner or to be part of a community like this and watch the water level slowly come up knowing there's nothing you can do about it, it must really pull at the heartstrings, and the best thing you can do is prepare, but you certainly can't prevent. Now with an elevated view, we're going from the ferry landing area at Swan Reach back down through to the area where we first started coming along the road with the drone. There's a scenic drive that takes you along the edge of the Murray River, and that's between Swan Reach and Blanchetown, and this part of the river can be seen from the northern end of that scenic drive. As we now start to approach the Blanchetown area, we can see the shacks here on the southern side of Blanchetown. I have shown these on previous videos, but it's always been with the afternoon sun glare, so I thought I'd put them up again just to show them when there's better light. From the northern side of the bridge here at Blanchetown, we're now looking back down towards the town of Blanchetown itself. And as we come around very shortly, you'll see the caravan park. Now, this caravan park was almost destroyed by the rising water, and the buildings just look like they've been picked up and tossed around like rag dolls. As you look at the buildings there in the water now, so many roofs on so many different angles that they're just as though they've floated away and then just dropped down onto the ground. With the river in flood like it is in its current situation, it's a very pretty thing to look at. So if you want to head up that way, you've got bridges like this that take you over main waterways. There's no issues with wet roads or anything like that. So in your vehicle and away you go, and appreciate what we can see at the moment, because it's going to be many years before it happens again. Or at least let's hope it's many years. Now looking back upstream with Blanchetown there to the left. This now brings us to the end of this video, and at this stage, unless we find something else to film in the meantime, the next one will be down at the Murray mouth once the water reaches down there and spreads out across the mouth. The drone is now flying towards Lock 1, and as you can see it's fully flooded, and very shortly you'll see a very short video clip of what the lock looks like when it's running at its normal pool level. If you like the video that you just watched, give us a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of our videos, click on the subscribe button, and once you've done that, change the bell notification to all. That way every time that we do uploads to our YouTube channel, you'll be notified.